I think in principle, it's not a bad idea because, the government is intentioned. But the fundamental problem with this idea is that all this is going to do is increase demand. And anything that increases demand is going to be a problem. And that's a fundamental issue with this policy. There would have been loads of better options which would actually increase supply. And I have 4 or 5 ideas that I know could actually solve the property market. It could take 20-minute conversation with the government and we could solve the whole thing overnight. The fundamental issue is there is no supply.
Sure. I'm going to ask you to list them in just one moment, but I want you to answer this question first, just by way of clarification. When you say about the supply issue, it's because people like me, for example, who might consider downsizing now the kids have all left home, and that then puts our home into the market, adds to supply. Instead, we can say, well, I can hang on to it because the kids will then inherit both the house and the mortgage. Is that the supply point you're making?
I think it's more the fact that, no, what I'm saying, Alistair, is that if you make mortgages easy, right, it creates more demand. All it does is gives more inflation. So prices will go, if you make it easier to get a mortgage, it just simply means prices go up. Yeah, and what the government are not doing is tackling the reasons why we have high prices.
Yeah, OK. Let's assume that Michael Gove, who is the member of the cabinet responsible for this territory, is now listening to you rather than our lovely GBNews audiences on television and radio, and indeed me. Your 4 points. Bang, 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 bang. Off you go.
OK, Michael Gove. Number 1 is land banking. Stop land banking by the major developers, which basically means they have to build on the land within a certain period of getting the permission, for example, or even owning the land. Number 2, dump section 106. This is basically a tax that developers have to pay, and it makes sites unviable. Number 3, this is the most important one. We need to embrace high-rise development, but quality high-rise development like you see in Dubai, with big apartments that feel like homes. Next one, planning departments. We need planning departments that ask the question, how can we make this work? Because I deal with planning departments every day of my life, and it's an absolute nightmare. The last one, I know it's more than 4, okay, Michael Gove, if you're listening, is that we need minimum occupancy sizes where, one person can't live in a house of 3,000 square foot. And there is one more that I forgot to add. This is a bonus one. And this goes against my own business model, and this is not good for me to tell this, okay? But we need to ban Airbnb and short-term lets. Because a lot of those houses are being used up effectively. And I'm actually in this business, and it doesn't suit me to tell this story.
Sure. No, and I asked 4, you said 4, you gave us 6. That's great. They are on record. We'll run the clip again after our conversation has finished. But on things like land banking and also on planning, Gove, it strikes me, has got his teeth into that with the legislation that he and his department are pushing forward. I mean, there are many Tory friends of mine who say Michael Gove is the first Secretary of State in this territory that is actually on the side of the angels.
He's on the side of renters. And he is trying, but the law of unintended consequences is playing in. And Michael Gove is not being advised as to how his policies are affecting the system on the longer term. So at the moment, what he's doing with his current renters reform bill, what this bill is doing is basically stopping landlords from buying properties to rent out. So that's the bottom line. All his policies are simply restricting supply. And it means higher prices for renters. And many of the government policies, although well-intentioned, they're not thinking about the longer term, how this is going to play out on a practical level, because they're not getting advised by people like me.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.